Advantage Lando Norris on the opening day of the Hungarian Grand Prix as Max Verstappen quite literally throws out the towel on another difficult day for Red Bull. From Racing News 365, my name is Nick Golding, and I'm delighted to be joined, as always, by lead editor Ian Pox with a very nice view of the penultimate corner behind you, Ian, or behind your right shoulder, if I get that correct. And we've got to begin with the top of the timesheets and McLaren. Lando Norris, in particular, topped FP1 and FP2. FP2 by almost 0.3 of a second from Oscar Piastri in second. As expected, it does seem that in the dry, McLaren are very much the team to beat as they were last year, but almost a bit of an embarrassing blunder at the end of FP2.
Oh, that was so close, wasn't it, Nick?
It was
My
close.
word.
We need it
That
on
was
Sunday.
we need that on Sunday. We do need that on Sunday to give us something really to talk about. At least we've got a little bit to talk about
Yeah.
following that practice session, because as you say, quite rightly so, came towards the end of FP2, Lando Norris making his way out of the pit lane towards the sweeping right-hand turn one. Just as he was doing that, though, Oscar Piastri, down the start-finish straight, was coming across onto the racing line to take turn one. Lando forced into a bit of a lockup. Oscar coming right across him. The two coming within inches of a collision. My word, there must have been palpitations on the pit wall from McLaren team boss Andrea Stella at that one. But yes, boys, come on. It's only Friday. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it calm. But please, from a racing perspective, from a fan perspective, from a media perspective, let's have a bit more of that on Sunday. We want to see a bit of needle, a bit of fighting between these two to give this title battle that seems to be coming more evidently now a two-horse race, in particular, given Max Verstappen struggles once again today, but we'll get onto that in a moment. As I say, we want to see a bit of fighting between these two just to give us a little bit of something to talk about going into the summer break, and then something to hang on to going into the final 10 races of this season, of course.
Yeah, let's go on to Red Bull, because obviously one of the few teams with upgrades again for this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. And it's been quite a long day, it's got to be said, for Red Bull. Yuki Tsunoda was the top Red Bull driver. He was in the top 10 in 9th at the end of FP2. Verstappen down in 14th, so well done, Yuki. That's a definite boost for him. But Max Verstappen complaining throughout the day of the car being undrivable, no grip. The kind of things we've heard him say so many times this season, no matter what upgrades they have thrown at that car. Verstappen at one point in FP2 had to throw out what looked like a small towel. He said it was a small cloth, which being left in the car resulted in an investigation, just a warning for Red Bull. But it kind of summed up what was overall a pretty bad day for Max, which means if history is anything to go by, he'll be challenging McLaren on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. Another bad Friday for Max Verstappen usually turns into a pretty heroic Saturday, of course, as we've seen quite a few times in the past, because we've had this discussion. We know what Friday practice is like. It's all about ironing out whatever gremlins might be going on in that RB21. And boy, there have been quite a few gremlins to throw out, not just a towel on this occasion, but the gremlins as well. Bearing in mind the issues that Max has encountered on various Fridays now, described the car as on ice when talking about the balance, just couldn't get it right between front and rear. Later in the session in FP2, described the car as undrivable. We've not heard that phrase before from Max across the course of this season. But yes, ordinarily, what's bad on a Friday usually turns into something good on a Saturday. So all hope is not lost. But as you say, throwing out the towel rather than throwing in the towel, that's not the case with regard to his title hopes. Andrea Stella absolutely not ruling Max Verstappen out of the equation. He was up in the team principals press conference on Friday afternoon in between the two practice sessions, was asked a question about Max and whether he was still in the fight. As I say, Andrea confidently saying you cannot rule Max out at this stage. We have discussed this, of course, Nick. It is looking quite a long shot right now. And bearing in mind what the evidence that we've seen today, those two McLarens just quite comfortably head and shoulders above the rest of the field. Max, as you say, down in 14th. It's a long way back. He's done it before. Can he do it again?
If anybody can, my money is on Max doing it. Before we carry on, Ian, got to let our viewers know that over Racing News 365, we are currently running a prize giveaway. If you'd like to win one of 2 Aston Martin caps, all you've got to do to have a chance of winning is be subscribed to the RacingNews365.com YouTube channel and comment below any video. But for ease, just do this one. I want to win. It is as simple as that. If you're already subscribed, just do that comment, and again, you'll be in the draw. The best of luck. It will end at the close of the Hungarian Grand Prix, with the winners to be contacted next week. Ian, on the topic of Aston Martin, nice little transition here. I mean, we said that Red Bull have had a long day. Aston Martin have had quite an eventful one. 4th and 5th on the timesheet, 4th for Lance Stroll, 5th for Fernando Alonso, despite the fact Alonso missed FP1. Explain.
Yes. Poor old Fernando, as you say, missed FP1. Felipe Drugovich stood in for him on this occasion due to Fernando encountering a muscular issue with his back. Now, I did discuss this with one of the Red Bull communication team, Will Hings, after Mike Crack had been put forward for the show and tell session earlier in the morning. And the Hungaroring, you've got to imagine, given its tight, twisty nature, the numerous shifts of position, with the way the car undergoes, as I say, those shifts around these tight turns, it could not be comfortable at all. So any kind of back injury, to say it's high downforce track as well, so that's really going to add to any discomfort that Fernando might be feeling within the cockpit at that car. But nevertheless, Lance Stroll 4th quickest, Fernando Alonso 5th quickest. All this when you consider just 6 days previously at Spa-Francorchamps, those 2 guys finished 19th and 20th on the grid at the end of qualifying. Quite possibly the worst day Aston Martin has endured in its history. But within a short period of time, maybe this circuit does lend itself to that AMR 25 that they've got going on underneath them. So, yes, a reasonable day. But as I say, it's only ever Friday. We know how things can turn around on a Saturday, just as Max Verstappen, as we've been talking previously.
Just to quickly run through the top 10 from FP2, the ones to look at for Friday. It was Lando Norris on top, ahead of Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc in 3rd for Ferrari, ahead of Stroll and Alonso, as we just mentioned, Lewis Hamilton in 6th for Ferrari, George Russell 7th, Isaac Hadjar in 8th, Yuki Tsunoda 9th, and Kimi Antonelli in 10th. And on paper, and based on what we've seen today, it does seem that if any team are going to get somewhere near McLaren, it's going to be Ferrari, and in particular, Charles Leclerc. Considering he revealed on Thursday how much he doesn't enjoy this circuit, looked pretty good on Friday.
I'll say Ferrari, but in particular, as you say, also Charles Leclerc, because Lewis Hamilton, again, not quite at home in that car. In particular, in FP1, he wasn't very happy with it at all. But at least he did make some gains in FP2. Finishing just 0.3 of a second behind Charles at the end of that session. But without Max Verstappen there to give the McLarens a fight right now, it quite clearly is evident that Charles Leclerc is the best of the rest. And right now, seemingly the only driver that can give Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri a run for their money. A little word on Lando, actually, because he was quickest in both FP1 and FP2. That's only the 3rd time that has happened this season, would you believe? That's because some idea as to just how things have flip-flopped across the course of Friday practices. Now, the previous 2 occasions, Oscar Piastri did it in Imola, and the other occasion was Charles Leclerc in Monaco. The interesting stat is, although both those guys, as I say, were fastest in FP1 and FP2 on Friday, neither went on to win the Grand Prix on Sunday. And Lando Norris up that trend this weekend.
Or will history repeat itself? Ian, we've still got a couple of minutes, so we need to quickly look ahead to Saturday and Sunday, because for those who watch F1 in the UK, and particularly the broadcaster Sky F1, they've been talking a bit about thunderstorms for Saturday, rain on Sunday. Rain looks potential, yes. Thunderstorms, we can't see it anywhere, but obviously all the speculation on what the weather's going to do falls after what was and is a highly debated Belgian Grand Prix, where of course we had the 8-minute delay, then 4 safety car laps due to poor visibility and rain. It was interesting because we didn't get to discuss this yesterday, but Carlos Sainz actually came out on Thursday and confirmed that actually the FIA spoke to the drivers on media day in Spa telling them that they were going to be taking a cautious approach, taking no risks due to the dark past of Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, we don't have that same thing at the Hungarian, but very interesting, isn't it, that those talks were had in Belgium, when you would imagine that probably wouldn't be had here at a circuit like the Hungaroring.
Yeah, we know all what Spa-Francorchamps is all about. As Carlos had pointed out, it's dark past, of course, and two deaths there in recent years. It was sad, of course, but lent the FIA to basically decide to really play it safe. And yes, we want to see the best drivers in the world going at it in extreme conditions, whatever track. But Spa has this propensity to throw up, such bad things as have happened in the past. And it's a case as well that the point was made also by Carlos that the drivers no longer have any faith in the full wet tire. So if that was never going to be used, then the FIA, in its wisdom, only option it had at its disposal was to start that race on the Inters, to give it as long as possible to at least allow the Inters to work at their optimum, shall we say, before then the race moved on towards the slick tires being taken, as we saw. Yes, there was still a degree of over caution, perhaps a bit too safe. Even now, the driver's able to reflect looking back on Spa-Francorchamps. Like you pointed out, next, it is going to be, if there is going to be any rain here at the Hungaroring on Sunday, it certainly won't be to the degree that we saw at Spa-Francorchamps. And this, of course, is a very different circuit. It is a little bit hilly in some places. For the most part, it always looks flat, but there are some gradients, but nowhere near like the gradients that we see at Spa. And of course, it is a much slower circuit than Spa. So if there is rain on Sunday, I think we'll see a very different course of action here taken at the Hungaroring.
Well, only time will tell, and the only way to find out is to tune in on Sunday. But before that, we of course have qualifying on Saturday. Be sure to join Ian and I after qualifying on Saturday as we reflect on everything that unfolds. Please do smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, not only if you enjoy our content, but also to have a chance of winning one of the 2 Aston Martin caps. Ian, amazing as always. Ian and I will see you on Saturday. See you later.
Take care, folks. Thanks for watching and listening as always.